Good evening and welcome to Business Live. My name is Sandra S. and I'm up and coming up tonight. Electricity Company of Ghana spends 45 million cedis to solve intermittent power cuts in Kumasi. More than 40% of 900 licensed small-scale miners unable to return to mining. We'll find out why. Also coming up tonight, international passenger traffic estimated to drop from 44% to 80%. Details after the break. Back and thanks so much for joining me. In our first story tonight, the Electricity Company of Ghana says it is investing nearly 45 million Ghana cedis in short to long-term projects to address intermittent power outages in the Ashanti region. Managing Director Aboagye-Wiafe says the company is in process of replacing all insulators in the region to deal with the problem. Prince Appiah's report.
For some time now, some parts of Ashanti region have been experiencing intermittent power cuts, for which many residents have not been happy about because President have announced some 3 months free electricity because of the COVID-19 effect and impact on the people. The Ashanti Strategic Business Unit also identified 14 frequent feeders in 14 areas causing the outages. Director at the unit, Engineer David Buedia-Samoa, reviewed the duration for these trippings ranges from 4 to 37 hours. The outages presentation he made covers 4 weeks from 5th April to 2nd May this year. Managing Director Kwame Agyemang addressed the media in Kumasi.
You come to realize that there are some old transformers that need to be changed, cables, relays, reclosures, sectionalizers, and all other things. To mitigate this, we try as much as possible to replace most of them. Especially the jumper card is something that is frequently hurting us. And our field guys normally, just to restore quick service to our customers, they, instead of using connectors, they use winding, the same way to wind it to get light for our customers. Starting last week, we've made it a policy. At no point should a fourth personnel will wind a jumper, but rather you use the actual connector to make sure you sustain the power. We've also come to realize that some of us trying to steal power from us make our transformers overloaded. In our system, we know how many people are on each transformer, but for somebody doing illegal, will be on the blind side of us, so it will overload the transformers, and many a times the overload transformer trip the feeder and causing outages.
Meanwhile, the Managing Director Kwame Agyemang has been explaining that the ECG is investing some 15 million Ghana cedis in the short term and a little close to 30 million Ghana cedis in the medium term to address some of these challenges and improve connectivity and power supply here in the Ashanti region.
Our area here in the Ashanti region, we are trying to construct a primary substation at the Agogo area, which will link Konongo, Agogo, and Jiso together, so that we have a stable service. We are spending about 15 million Ghana cedis to reinforce the system or our network. We are also trying to, in the medium term, we try to pump in 29.5 million cedis, and we plan to install, construct at Adanse, Asokwa area, which will link Kumasi, Obuasi, near Dubiase, so that we can have a stable network or service. The amount that I just said, it's not like it's sitting there. It's ongoing. Maybe we might have spent maybe 10 million already or 5 million already. It's ongoing. A minimum a year to complete.
Meanwhile, ECG says it is working to ensure these outages stops and therefore implores the public against power theft. Prince Appiah reporting.
The Small Scale Miners Association says government's ban on small-scale mining to streamline the sector has been counterproductive. Vice President of the association, Kofi Yorenchi, told Odilia Ntuama close to 40% of legal small-scale miners will never be able to mine again, while those who are illegal are back with impunity.
Illegal mining happens both in small-scale mining and large-scale mining. It's not peculiar to small-scale mining, but there are licensed small-scale mining and then licensed large-scale mining as well. So we should be able to differentiate between this. And for me, if we want to prescribe any solution, it is important that we identify and define the problem well so that we can tailor solution to the problem. But if we don't do that and we lump everything together, then in the first place, the solution that we're going to prescribe is going to even be wrong.
My last two questions are on certification for closure and then also on training. From 2013 up to about 2018, the World Bank and some allied partners have spent about $47 million in the sector trying to streamline, trying to train. Do you feel this?
Well, this is my first time of hearing this amount of money, and we've gone through some trainings and all that. So perhaps maybe we might have attended some of the trainings and all that. But the amount, 47 million, did you say they've invested? Well, I'll be very happy if I can have access to that document and study it well so that I can really speak to it well. But what I know is government is taking steps. And when I say government, not this government alone, but previous governments up to this government, they are taking steps to make sure that the sector is well regulated and done responsibly. What I feel they've not done it so well is how they engage stakeholders, especially small-scale miners. For me, I think that going forward, it should be participatory engagement where we'll be seen as partners so that we can contribute meaningfully into the discussion.
And not enemies.
And not enemies, and not the kind of engagement where information is just delivered. Government has done this, so go ahead and do it. Government has done that, so do that. That does not bring development, it doesn't bring buy-in. So it is important that we are engaged as partners and then together we do it. And I'll give you an example. For instance, this 3% withholding tax that has been passed and then January is seeking to enforce, for instance, it is going to be inimical to the sector. It's not going to help. It's going to reduce production. And like I said, any tax that is targeting revenue is a bad tax in the first place. And so it is important that we review that and then find better solutions of taxing the small-scale miners for the general development of this country.
All right, so we'll give you an extensive report on Wednesday on the AM Business Show. Two other stories tonight. The aviation industry may not be the same again as the coronavirus is biting hard. Despite uncertainties, experts are warning of dramatic decline in air transport traffic and investment. Although some countries are planning a reopen, how will this look like when the airlines start operating and then passengers alike? I have an interview with an aviation expert, but a quick look at the global picture of the impact of COVID-19 on the aviation industry. And if you have on your screen right now, we go to, this is the estimated impact on airport passenger traffic and revenue by region, and it's for 2020. We take North America first, and airport passenger has dropped by some minus 41.1%, and then the revenue has dropped by minus 47.3%. Now let's go to Europe and see how Europe is also faring. And if you can see now, airport passenger in Europe has dropped by minus 57.1%, and then their revenue has also declined by some 62.2%. To our very own Africa, how is the picture looking like? And our passenger traffic has dropped by minus 47.3%. And the revenue has declined as much as minus 51.2%. 0.2%. So that's the picture looking like globally. The Middle East is also there, Asian Pacific is also there, and then Latin America and the Caribbean also. You can see the figures on your screen. So in all this, how is the industry going to deal with the situation? Let's now hear from an aviation expert and medical director of the Care Flight Ghana, Dr. Yakubu Akparibu.
We've had similar occurrences in the past. We've had the 9/11 terrorist attack. We had SARS in around 2002. Those also affected the aviation sector. But by far, this has been the major one. I've never seen something like this before. So you look at the numbers that are churned out by IATA, and then they said they project that by June, about 2 million flight cancellations are going to happen. And by the end of the year, the industry is going to lose about 25 billion US dollars. You know, so by far, this has been the biggest impact. Now, when you look at 9/11, it took about 9 months. The SARS epidemic in 2002. It took some time before the flights got back to the baseline, you know. So this particular one is I think this may take a longer time. This may take more than 9 months for us to get back to normalcy. The advantage that we have now is that oil prices are low, so aviation fuel is also low. So that may boost the airlines. But still, when it starts, definitely fare prices may go up. They may go up because, one, social distancing. Social distancing because they have to leave the IRCs empty, you know. So definitely you need to charge more to be able to pay for those ones. That is one. The second issue too is we are advising passengers to put on face masks and that kind of stuff. Although it looks lighter when you hold it, in aviation, weight is very important. So if all your passengers are going to have face masks on, definitely the weight is going to go up, and that's going to lead to higher fuel consumption. So definitely, I see the airlines charging a little more when things start. So an aircraft is not like a car that when you park and then you just come in, you jump in, and you start moving. You know, when you park aircraft this way, before you start, you must do test runs. They have to look at servicing and that kind of stuff. If you are not even fortunate and you are in like a temperate environment, you need to do the icing of the aircraft, which are so much involve so much money. You know, so definitely they won't just start and then just operate at full capacity like before the pandemic. It's going to start slowly. Some may start with just some few fleets, and then as time goes on, then they will increase their number of fleets. I think the aviation industry will definitely rebound back. Yeah, it's going to get bigger. When you look like World War I, you look at the kind of aircrafts, World War II, and then even, let's take it from when aviation started. The Wright brothers, that was in 1908. You know, they had things flying like kites, and within 100 years, look at the massive transformation that has happened.
All right, so we want to give you a clearer picture on how the COVID-19 is actually wreaking havoc on the aviation industry, and also aviation also works closely with the tourism industry. So we want to revisit that and see how the global impact of COVID-19 on aviation, tourism, trade, and the economy. And also, if you can see, international air passenger traffic, an overall reduction of international passenger ranging from 44% to 80% in 2020 compared to 2019, and then also airports, an estimated loss of over 50% of passenger traffic and 57% of overall revenue is supposed to go down, and the estimated amount is over $97 billion. Or the impact of the coronavirus on the aviation sector, the tourism sector, and also global economy. And we're on that, and on tourism, a decline in international tourism receipts of between $910 billion to $1.170 billion in 2020 compared to 1.5 trillion generated in 2019. And then if you come to trade, a fall of global merchandise trade volume by between 13 to 32% in 2020 compared to that of 2019. And the global picture, how the economy is being affected globally, a projected -3% contraction in world GDP in 2020 for worse than during the 2008-2009 financial crisis, and that is by IMF. To other stories tonight, export numbers dip more than 50% for fruit processing company Blue Skies Ghana as COVID-19 causes transportation delays. Food processing company Blue Skies has been badly hit by the impact of the COVID-19 on international travels, causing its export numbers to dip by over 50%. This, the company says, is detrimental to its production as 98% of its market is international.
Supply chains for the food and agricultural industry have been heavily impacted by COVID-19 as border restrictions still remain in many countries. This has also led to an increase in demand for essential product groups, including food, as consumers rush to stock up. However, transport delays and cancellations are affecting the ability of companies to export stock effectively. Blue Skies Ghana is one of such companies to be affected as it is unable to meet demand internationally due to inconsistent air travel arrangements. Reginald Ashite is the head of logistics at Blue Skies Ghana.
We do 40 tons on a daily basis before COVID. As we stand now, we are doing less than 15 tons a day because of COVID. Why this impact? We were depending on dedicated flights to Europe, the British Airways, the KLM, the Emirates, the Brussels Air, and then Ethiopian Airlines. But as it is now, they are not landing at Kotoka anymore. Therefore, we are not able to send our produce to Europe and then the UK. That is how hard we've been hit by COVID.
Aside the dip in exports, the company now has to bear additional costs in transporting their wares.
There are chartered flights and then freighters in the system. We have to quickly rely on freighters. And freighters are not dedicated like the normal carriers. So what happened is that if the consignment has to get to the UK at 10 a.m. or Amsterdam at 6 a.m., we have to route it via Brussels. There, from Brussels, we have to track. Now we fly to Brussels, and then we have to incur another tracking cost from Brussels to, let's say, Amsterdam to the UK and the likes. So we have another tracking cost that we have to contend with. There is handling aspect too. When it gets to Brussels, you need to hire a handling agent or firm to really take care of your produce when it gets to Brussels. And these are costs that are unplanned.
Reginald Ashite also assured that the company is doing its best to cut cost of production so as to secure the jobs of its staff. For Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
The Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Company has stated that its members are offering some stimulus packages to cushion the consumer, and they were speaking to JoyNews earlier.
Realize that the savings and loans companies have consistently been serving their clients, and that even though things are hard, deposits are not coming for obvious reasons. Businesses are not doing well, they are not generating revenue, and so deposits are not coming. Loans that are supposed to come in so that we'll be able to have the necessary liquid in the system, people are also unable to pay their loans. And they've approached the various institutions, and the institutions have also listened to their plea. Those who are affected are also sorted out. Some of them have had the opportunity of getting their interest rate reduced. Some of them too have had the opportunity of getting their loans rescheduled or restructured. Some of them have also given them more period. So these are some of the things we are doing for our clients. You know, if we decide to say, oh, every client take one repayment or two repayments, the reality is that the clients are paying on daily basis or weekly basis. So even if you give them 1 week, the reality is that the customer will not feel the benefit. So we realize that we need to treat every customer according to their needs. And obviously, it has been very, very helpful. And so we want to continue to extend our appreciation to the customers and also let them know that we are there for them as they are there for us. Because if the customer is not there, no savings and loans company will be able to survive. We want to also encourage them to continue to do business with their preferred institutions.
All right, that will be all for Business Live tonight with me, Sandra Esinam Afeno. I'll be back at prime time with a business news update. Thanks so much for watching. But you can get more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business.